So if the world has somehow not burned to a crisp in the time that it takes me to edit and upload this video, hello. Hello, what's up? Welcome back. Today's video is going to be a review of Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, the first book in the Last Hours series, which is a sequel to the Infernal Devices series, which is a book series that literally ruined my life last year. I'm not even gonna call this a review because I literally have no control over my brain cells right now. I am stuck inside because I'm very, very scared of the world right now, and it's very, very hot in Texas right now. I also have zero notes to read off of, and I have not filmed a video where I didn't at least have a couple bullet points to talk about in a very, very long time. So I'm literally just going to be all over the place talking about this book. I'm also, as a tradition, going to paint my nails whilst I talk because it just feels appropriate. I will just let y'all know right now that this video is going to be spoilery. I literally don't have anything to say that's not spoilery about this because at this point, if you have not read any Cassandra Clare books, you're probably never going to. And also, if you have not read any Cassandra Clare books, you will not understand a word that I am about to say anyways. So feel free to stick around if you don't care to hear spoilers for this series. If you would just like to hear me talk, stick around. But if you do care about spoilers, please come back after you have read the book and let's discuss. If you are watching this but you don't have any interest in Cassandra Clare or anything that she has going on, basically, Chain of Gold, as I said, is the sequel series to the Infernal Devices, which is the prequel series to the Mortal Instruments and basically just everything in the Shadowhunters Chronicles. Like, the Infernal Devices is the chronologically first series in the Shadowhunters Chronicles. The Infernal Devices is set in the 1800s in London, and it has to do with a lot of the Shadowhunter happenings in London back then. It is in the Victorian era, and it is my favorite work of Cassandra Clare's. It is the only reason that I have decided to read the entire Shadowhunters Chronicles. So to be honest, when I went into Chain of Gold, I was anticipating to just spend the entire time being super emo over how old the cast of Infernal Devices is in this series, because in that series you just grow to know them over the course of 3 books and you grow really attached to them. I was just ready to be sad about it, but I found that I actually really loved the amount that we got of them in this series, and I found that the new cast of characters, which is all of their children, I just became so in love with their children that I was just like, you know what? I think I'm good. I don't need any more of, you know, like Cecily and Gabriel and Gideon and Sophie. Like, I'm fine. I genuinely became enamored and obsessed with the cast in this book. Like, I would die for all of them, genuinely, truly. I'm just gonna go through the characters really quick and give you my thoughts on them in this book. Let's get the most important ones out of the way first. Jem, Will, and Tessa. Now, if you had the chance to watch my Infernal Devices video, which is entitled The Infernal Devices Ruined My Life, you will know how deeply I feel about those 3 characters and how much their full story in those 3 books really touched me and affected me. I just have never had that much of an emotional reaction to a book ever, I think. Even Crooked Kingdom, my favorite book of all time, I cried at that book, like I sobbed at it, but I cried way harder for all 3 of the books in the Infernal Devices series. Jim, Will, and Tessa are everything to me. They are the best love triangle, the best polyamorous relationship ever, because that's what they are. I don't care. You cannot tell me anything. But the interactions that we got both in flashbacks and in present day, quite frankly, ruined me. The flashback scene that we get in the beginning of the book when Will found out that his parents were killed by the influenza. He's just sitting on the floor, you know, leaned against Tessa's legs, and he's just really sad. And then Jim walks through the door as Brother Zachariah, and he just sits next to him and pulls Will into his chest, and Will just starts crying and holding on to him. And Tessa is just over them, like holding both of them. There are no words, truly. But yeah, just the moments that we got from Jim, Will, and Tessa, just all 3 of them, just any moment that we got with them was so precious to me. And I just love that the blanks are getting filled in, because I jumped into this series right after reading the epilogue of The Mortal Instruments, and to be honest, I think that was a pretty okay decision, because it's almost like I'm reading a show that has like a dual timeline. So I'm seeing the same characters in different timelines because I'm reading everything out of order. And I kind of like it. Like, I kind of like the way that I've read it. I don't really mind. Jumping into this series right after that epilogue where we see Jim and Tessa together, and like how they are in present day together, and how they're just missing Will together. I'm glad that I could kind of go back in time with Chain of Gold, see the dynamic between the 3 of them shortly after Jim turned into Brother Zachariah. So anyways, y'all know how much I love the 3 of them. Let's move on. I loved the dynamic between Jim and James. That was so beautiful, because that is literally his namesake. Like, his parents named him after Jim, and I just love that they're so close together. And I love that Jim makes it clear to James that he is always there for him to call on for literally anything. And there's this line in the book, Jim says something to James along the lines of, "There are 4 flames in this world that I care about, and it's you, Lucy, your mother, and your father." And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, speaking of James, that boy has a lot going on in this book. Where do I even begin? The whole thing with Grace Blackthorne. It's fuck Grace Blackthorne all day long. I do not fuck with her. From the beginning of the book, when we first got the first appearance of her, I was like, this girl is so creepy and shady, and I don't know what she's up to. Everything that James has going on with her is an absolute shit show. Don't even get me started on that bracelet. I hate everything about it. Get me out of here. But James himself, in the time period that he has the bracelet off in this book, I love him so much. I think he's definitely one of my favorite characters from this new cast. Everyone else I love so much, but James and Cordelia Carstairs are definitely my absolute favorites from this book and from this series. I already know it. I don't know what it is about these Carstairs, but I would just die for literally anyone with the last name Carstairs at this point. Cordelia Carstairs is 100% absolutely the best female character in the entire Shadowhunters Chronicles as we have it standing right now. I will say I have not read The Dark Artifices yet. I don't know the grown-up Emma Carstairs. I only know the 12-year-old Emma that was in City of Heavenly Fire. I have no doubt in my mind that Cordelia Carstairs is the blueprint for Emma Carstairs. Cordelia is just so badass and so amazing and so smart. And the way she has that Thor ability to pull Cortana from wherever is so powerful. And she's just so powerful in and of herself. The fact that she's Persian, she's brown, and she's the main character in this series, it's just a moment most pleasing to me in my career. I'm not Persian, I'm Jordanian, but I feel like growing up Middle Eastern or growing up literally from anywhere in that entire region and having zero representation in literally any kind of media or anything, I feel like growing up like that, when there's literally any representation from anywhere in the vicinity of where you're from, it kind of just gives you that feeling of representation either way, because you just feel like you're never gonna get that 100% pure representation of your own specific culture, so you kind of just settle for whatever it is. But I just felt so represented by Cordelia, even though we don't share the same exact culture. But I did watch Hannah from A Clockwork Reader's review of Chain of Gold, or it was just like her reading vlog for it, and she is actually Persian, and she was literally getting teary-eyed and emotional over the Persian representation because she has never seen herself in a book before, and I just resonate so much with that. It's just that feeling that I got when I read We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal, to see that Arab culture so deeply ingrained into that fantasy story was just so beautiful and amazing, and I just really felt her emotion in that moment, because it really just means so much to get that representation and that feeling of representation. All of the fairy tales and the folklores and the stories that were referenced in this book that are from Persia and from the Middle Eastern region was just so amazing. The scene in Hel Ruel when she does that performance of one of the stories from 1001 Nights, I recognized the story so fast because I actually acted in an Arabian Nights play when I was like 16 years old, I think. She started telling that story and like doing the performance to it. I was so here for it. I was so entranced by that scene. And the scene after that in the whispering room with Cordelia and James, everything about Cordelia and James and their entire chemistry and their entire story, with how Cordelia took care of him when he had like the Shadowhunter fever or whatever it was called, when she was taking care of him and when she was reading him that book about Layla. And then towards the end of the book, when they battle that demon together, when James tells her that he remembers when she read it to him when he was sick, and he hopes that after everything is over that they can read it together again. And then she brings the book to his hospital room, but he has the bracelet on because Grace put the bracelet back on him. Oh my god, I'm so stressed out. I've just completely forgotten about my nail polish at this point. Let's quickly go through all of the rest of the characters that I have neglected for 30 minutes. Lucy Herondale, love her to death. I'm so interested in her ghostly power or whatever that she has going on, and I'm so interested to see what happens between her and what happens with Jesse Blackthorn. I love her and Cordelia's friendship and how they're going to become parabatai. I can't wait for that when that happens. I love her little snippets of her stories about like the beautiful Cordelia or whatever. And I love the nods to the Cruel Prince that are in those stories. Matthew Fairchild. Oh my god, what to even say about this boy. I have not yet read his short story In the Ghost of the Shadow Market, but I did spoil myself before going into this because I knew I was going to be confused about it. So I know what happens between him and what happens with his mom and everything, and how that's why he's an alcoholic and everything. Very, very sad and horrifying and heart-wrenching story. I really, really want him to get help, and I feel bad that none of his friends are really noticing what's going on with him. Like, they know that something's wrong, but they just know that like there's kind of no way to really get him to cooperate and tell them what's going on. I hope that it is just a storyline that gets wrapped up with care, because I really, really do love Matthew and I just want the best for him. Quickly want to talk about the love triangle that's going on between Matthew, James, and Cordelia. At this point, we don't really have confirmation, like concrete proof that Matthew is in love with Cordelia and not James. People are assuming, probably rightfully so, that it's not James, that it's definitely Cordelia, because we just did like the forbidden parabatai love triangle in The Dark Artifices, which I haven't read yet, but those are the most recent Shadowhunters books. So Cassandra Clare like probably wouldn't reuse that trope, but like if she did, I wouldn't super duper be mad about it. Assuming that Matthew loves Cordelia, that's gonna be a shit show, and I'm so here for it. A lot of people were actually not loving the love triangle addition in this book, but I am 100% here for it because I'm a masochist. Sandra Clare writes the best relationship conflict between characters. It's always so painful, but so beautifully done, not including the mortal instruments, by the way. If I say something is well done in Cassandra Clare's works, I'm talking about everything other than the mortal instruments. Just letting you know. I am here for the love triangle. I don't care. I am rooting for James and Cordelia endgame, but I am here for whatever we have coming for Matthew and Cordelia, just to add a little drama. I'm here for it. Anna Lightwood. I am so gay. I love Anna Lightwood. I love what she brings to the story. I love that she's kind of just like a womanizer, but she does have someone who she is in love with, and I love that she is just the complete opposite of everything going on with gender norms in the early 1900s. I love everything about her. She's a perfect character. She has never done anything wrong in her life. Thomas Lightwood, what a character, truly. He is so kind and so beautiful. I feel like we didn't get much of him in this book, and I know we're definitely going to get a lot more of him in the next book, probably. We're definitely going to get more of him because of what's going on with him and Alistair. I'm so here for that storyline. I have not read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy yet, so I don't have too much context of what went down at the Shadowhunter Academy between all of the Merry Thieves and Alistair and everything. What I can gather is Alistair was really, really horrible because of what was going on with his dad. He just turned into like a really horrible person. But I do believe that he deserves redemption, but he definitely does need to work for it a little harder than he has been. But I am so here for whatever's going down with Alistair and Thomas. I'm very, very intrigued by it. I'm very excited to see it go down. Christopher Lightwood, I don't really have much to say about him. I love him, I appreciate him. I like that he's kind of the mini Henry in this series, and he's like the inventor and everything. And I think that he had an important role, and I think that he'll have more of a role in the rest of the series. Who am I forgetting? There's so many characters. I was so relieved when Magnus Bane made an entrance. Magnus Bane is my all-time favorite Shadowhunter character, even though he's definitely very closely followed by Jem, Will, and Tessa and Cordelia Carstairs. It is a fair thing to say that Magnus Bane is my absolute favorite. He just makes all of the books so much better. He's the only reason why I got through the Mortal Instruments series. Also, there was like a little hint of Matthew and Magnus in this book. I would be very interested to see where that goes, to be honest with you. Matthew Fairchild is a bisexual legend, just like Magnus Bane is, and I feel like if something is explored between them, I would be very, very pleased to see it. I don't know if it's gonna happen because, like I said, I just came off of the Mortal Instruments, and in the Mortal Instruments, Magnus specifically tells Alec that he has never been in love with the Shadowhunter before, so I don't know if Cassandra Clare's just gonna like kind of go back on that. I wouldn't mind if she did. I kind of hope she does. I don't know if she actually will. The last like 50 pages of this book just crushed me. To be honest with you, I had truly thought that the story was going to go in the direction of Cordelia somehow getting engaged to Matthew at the end of the book. I don't know why I thought that was going to happen, but I was racking my brain trying to think of how Cassandra Clare was going to cause drama between the three of them. And I was like, okay, James has the bracelet on again. Like, he is under Grace's control again. It's a whole mess and a half. So I was like, I feel like something's gonna go down between Matthew and Cordelia, and that's gonna be the thing to kind of make James kind of break out of that spell later on in the series. I don't know what I thought was gonna happen. But it was not this. It was not the engagement. I can't say that I am mad about it. I'm so excited for the drama that it's about to bring, because there's just so much that can be explored with the route that Cassandra Clare has taken. They're literally going to get married in the next book. Like, the book is probably going to begin with their wedding or something. And James literally mentioned how they're going to have to get a house together, and that can be the place where their whole crew meets up now instead of the apartment above the Devil's Tavern. They're literally going to get a house together, and they're going to have to sleep in the same bed together. And I'm just ready for the fan fiction tropes that are about to be explored. I just know Cassandra Clare is going to hit us with those fanfic tropes. She has to. It is illegal for her to not give us the there's only one bed trope. It's illegal. She has to do it. So I'm just ready for all of the drama that's going to happen. I definitely think Thomas and Alistair are going to happen a lot more in the second book. I think that while James is still under the bracelet spell, we're going to get a lot of Matthew and Cordelia, and it's definitely going to be very, very heart-wrenching. I think that she's definitely going to be the one to help him get out of his depression, all of the things that he's going through. I think that she's definitely going to help him. She's going to play a really big role in helping him break out of that. I think that Grace Blackthorne is definitely going to have a redemption arc, even though I don't want it. Like, I don't care about her character. I would prefer if she just died, to be honest. I just hate her so much, and it looks like she's gonna be teaming up with Lucy to save Jesse. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I'm not happy with it, but if Grace has a redemption arc, then she needs to be taking that bracelet off of James before any redemption is happening. Jesse Blackthorne is definitely coming back from the dead in the next book. Like, that's absolutely happening. I think that's all the theories that I have, honestly. I truly don't know how I'm gonna survive until Chain of Iron, because this book was just so amazing. It just introduced so many amazing characters, but still had a very good amount of the characters that I loved so much from the Infernal Devices. It gave me my crumbs with Jem and with Will and Tessa and all of the other side characters. I just felt like I got such a good balance, and I just don't know if this series is going to overthrow the Infernal Devices for me, honestly, because we still get all of those characters, but we just get so many more amazing characters added on top of them. And not to mention how much Cassandra Clare's writing has improved. This read like a fucking Pride and Prejudice like classic. The writing was so good. The characters and the plotting and the relationships and the conflict and the drama and the intrigue and the action sequences. Like, the action sequences, I forgot completely to talk about them, but they were so well done and so good, and it was just such a good balance, plot driven and character driven. I definitely feel like the Infernal Devices was a bit too character driven for some people. It was just right for me, but it was too character driven for some people, and that made it boring. Whereas the Mortal Instruments series is way plot driven instead of character driven for most of the story, and it just gets very muddled and hectic and chaotic. But I feel like Cassandra Clare has finally found the balance between those two, and it has resulted in one of the best books that I've ever read. Look out for my Shadowhunter Chronicles review video once I do finish all of the books. My throat hurts, and I definitely did not stick to my plan of making this a quick video, so I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on Chain of Gold and the entire Shadowhunters Chronicles. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.